Hi everybody, Creative Katie here. Welcome to my channel. Today we have an art journal tutorial, actually the cover of my art journal. So remember this? You might think that this was going to be my art journal cover. Well, something happened. I didn't stop there. I continued on, and as you can see, it turned into something that, well, it just didn't spark joy. So I gave it some time, and as you can see, I am putting on a coat of white gesso. And while I'm going to mourn the loss of those vintage papers underneath, I do have some wonderful texture from the drywall tape here and those vintage papers, and I do have the memory of what was. So I grabbed this layered wallpaper stencil, and I have this super thick gesso, and that just over time has dried. And I'm putting it through the stencil because I just want to have more texture. This is going to be the cover of my art journal. I want it to be touchable, and I just love modeling paste through a stencil and gesso. Now, when you put gesso, because it is wetter or thinner, it's not necessarily perfect. And I would recommend using thicker gesso. So I give this some time and let it dry. And now I am going to colorize it. So I decide I'm going to put some flowers on here, which was the plan for the other one that went terribly awry. I want to make a sky. Now, I've had surgery on my hand, and I've just been itching to get into the studio, so I am wearing a latex glove, and I start putting the color on this page. And then I realized, oh, I want it sky on the top, so more blue on the top and greener on the bottom. So I start mixing these colors. And I'm not too worried because they're all next to each other on the color wheel. They're analogous, and therefore they are not going to make mud. So I'm just going to play. And if it's too blendy, I stop and let it dry. And I just keep adding these same colors. There's teal cobalt, there's the yellow, green yellow, and azonite, I believe. And then I come back and I use, yes, my Prussian blue. But I'm just playing with this, and because there's so much texture on this page from the gesso through the stencil, from the drywall tape that's going up and down off to the side, which I love how that breaks it up, as well as those papers that I collaged initially. So the papers did not die in vain. They have given lots of texture. And as you know, these colors are my happy colors. And you can see how I'm just going lightly over with the makeup sponge here with the darker color. And it's just making this beautiful sky background that's just, oh, so effortless. And it really is sparking joy for me. And I'm just playing around. I'm edging the page with the darker blue. And as I do this, I'm just, oh, I am so happy with this background. I am glad that I made the call to add some gesso. So as you can see, I'm just continuing to just rub this almost dry makeup sponge with the dark blue, the Prussian blue or the azonite blue. And I could be mispronouncing that. I don't have it with me. I'm going from memory. And I'm just adding interest. I'm going to be doing some modeling paste and some stenciling on top for the focal image. So I don't want the background to compete with it. But I do want interest, and oh my gosh, we have so much interest here. This is just yum. And I regret that I did not stop here to take a picture. So I grab the stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, lavender, and I'm stenciling with Prussian blue here. And while it's showing up dark and I could make it darker, I do make the call to use modeling paste. Now, Crafters Workshop has this clear modeling paste that's white right now, but it's clear. So if you add any color to it, you will actually get that color. So I am adding Prussian blue, some dioxazine purple. I'm just mixing up a lavender color. And I want it a little on the dark side because I want it to stand out from the background. And I'm just using a key card and I'm applying this colorized clear modeling paste through the stencil. Now I'm not putting it on the leaves. I'm not sure if I'm going to use modeling paste at this time. So I'm just putting it there. Now I play with the sentiment and it's going to go on that strip. So I did add the lavender on the far left side. So I went for my walk, came back, and everything's dry. And I grabbed the Hooker's green and the Prussian blue and I'm mixing those together. And I'm just adding the Prussian blue and you get almost a phthalo green, but a very dark, rich green. And I'm just stenciling this on. Now be careful not to get too much paint on the makeup sponge because it will bleed under. But there's foliage there, so I'm not overly concerned about getting a perfectly straight line. Loving the look, just fitting the stencil back over the modeling paste and just stenciling in. Now I'm just taking that blue-green and just edging around the outside of the cover page. So because the stencil has gaps, I'm just grabbing some of that paint with my liner brush here and just making so that the stems are connected. And just adding a little bit of paint here and there, just changing it up a little bit. I think one of the things that I did wrong in the last page is I've been unable to create, so I've been watching a lot of videos. Here I'm splattering with gold. But you have lots of ideas and you go to a page and then you try to use too many ideas. And while they're all great techniques, sometimes it's just overkill. And I think that's what happened to that page. Less is definitely more. So while thank you for watching my videos, I do want you to do an equal amount of actually creating. So I played around with where I wanted the sentiment. I was going to put it in a block up higher, but because I had where I put the lavender, there was that gap, so I did a mixture of sizes, and I'm just gluing this down with gel, not gel medium, just matte medium. It's fluid. I'm kind of pressing it down, and this kind of brings the eye down and fills the gap. I could have also done more stenciling with the lavender, but I didn't want to get out the modeling paste again. So now I'm using a charcoal pencil, and this is General's charcoal pencil. It's one that Sean Petit uses and has recommended. So I found it at Michael's, so I was quite happy to give it a try. And I'm just adding some shading around various parts, texturized parts, some of the stenciled parts, just to bring it out a little bit. Grunge it up just that smattering. While I love the vintage colors and lean, I am trying to take those same or similar techniques and bring it into everything that I do. And just going to edge with the charcoal pencil here as well. Get that dark Now, because this is the cover, I will spray this with, I have Spectrafix and I also have a workable fixative, Krylon, and I will spray it and varnish it because it is the cover. Spray it because it does have charcoal. Now I'm just going around here and grunging it up just that little bit. It's not so pristine and it makes everything work together. I cannot tell you how happy I was to be able to get into the studio to start and do some creating. Not creating for a week has just been very, very difficult. Just adding touches here and there, darkening this up by going over it again and not smudging it as so much. Definitely will be using more drywall tape. I love having that go down vertically, that line there. It just adds such incredible textural item. Now I grabbed my gel pen and I'm just adding highlights here and there. This feels very foreign. This isn't something I normally do, but I really like the effect of it. Adding the white on top of the lavender made it go very nicely with the white that's on the sentiment. Less than a perfect job, probably put too much. You know, that's a process. When the first time you try something out, it feels awkward. It feels forced. But keep trying. So I am just so in love with this. I cannot say I would love to do this one again on a canvas. Here are some close-ups. Check the description box for any supplies that I used if you're interested. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous texture. Yum-alicious. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.